What was the main thing? The one thing that you could remember?
The actual pain, the pain in the breast. Because in 2008, again, I was diagnosed with what you call fibrocystis rare.
Okay.
You remember Dr. Wilkerson would have spoke earlier of a discharge in a nipple. And I had gone home, both of my girls were home. I had gone home one afternoon and I had a weeping nipple. And the first thing I did, I went into the bathroom and I said, Lord, please don't take me away from my children. Not knowing that my older girl had seen me. So I got to my office and I have a coworker who was diagnosed and I went straight to her and I said, I told her what I was experiencing and she said, no, you shouldn't be here, find a doctor. And again, I called Dr. Wilkerson and we spoke and I did have a biopsy. I had a biopsy. I also had a lump at the same time because I just recently had my check. And so he removed the lumps and he did a biopsy. And again, back then I always said to people, always a weeping nipple, as he said, does not necessarily mean cancer. That was 2008. I still have that breast on. The other breast was the one that was just paining me. And I never even think that, I would be diagnosed, but cautiously, and just that inner feeling, I need to see the doctor because these pains are going on and on. And then, we're talking about signs, what to look for. Sometimes your partner tends to find these things in you more than you yourself. Because actually, I always say to people in 2011 when I found my cyst was paining me, it was actually my husband who found, he was just playing and he said, I feel this. And I said, I feel it too. Maybe that's what's paining me so bad. And so I annoyed Dr. Wilkerson, I annoyed Dr. Hart, I ignored my GOP, my general practitioner. And I kept pushing and pushing because it really was something has to be wrong. That's how I felt. Something has to be wrong. And so I kept pushing and pushing until I found the answer. But the funny thing is, I did not know I had a breast cancer in my family until after my mastectomy. I had to call my cousin and she said, no, you have a great aunt who was a survivor for 20 years with breast cancer. I never thought that anybody might. I thought, okay, hey, I'm making history in my family and being diagnosed with breast cancer. But it was a very difficult thing for my family to accept because we had lost my sister to ovarian cancer and my mom to what you call leukemia. And so it's very hard. 2 years later down the line, they're going to find their baby sister being diagnosed with breast cancer. But if I came across you and I told you I was diagnosed with breast cancer, you were not allowed to cry. And you were not allowed to have a pity look on your face when I told you I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because I wanted to put forth a positive attitude. And so going back to looking for signs, there were no signs for me that I would be diagnosed with breast cancer. So I was not looking for it. I just wanted to get rid of the cyst and move on with my life. So, and the thing about when you're being diagnosed with something, knowledge is power. Yes, you can do a lot of reading that could really confuse you, but you also need to know what you're diagnosed with. And I remember when I was diagnosed with fibrocystis breast, we Googled it and we find out what caused it, what can I do to prevent it. And I was a lover of chocolate and coffee. I would have maybe several cups of coffee, and one of the things they said for fibrocystis breast, and they did say that they're still looking into it, is the caffeine. And so I tried to cut down on it, but still, the pains were there.
No more Cokes.
No more Cokes. I spoke with her, and I didn't know she was a part of a group. I was just given her name. And I remember clearly I sat in this place called Cafe, around by Dr. Wilkerson's office. I don't remember the first name of it, but it was something. Carib Cafe. And we sat and we talked for hours. And then she was wanting to me, she was part of a group. And shortly after that, she was part of a tea party that this lady usually keep. And so we kept in touch, and I was in the middle of, I remember when I told her I was going to do my surgery. Now, she's very emotional. And she was more concerned. She wouldn't come to see me hospital, but I got several texts. Every day she would send me, how is it, how are you doing, how are you doing? And she kept in contact. When I traveled to do my chemo, she was there also. She kept in contact. And then I was introduced after slowly with the ladies of the group. And it's a they are very, very helpful. They reach out. People reach out to us, and these women reach out. They go to the extent they say they're very dedicated members. We try every area where we can raise funds. We do not like to say no. And we don't say no when patients call us for help. So hence we're looking for. So while I'm here on the panel and you have to donate, and you're outside and you want to donate, you can donate so we can help save a life. Because the worrying thing about it is more and more often women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. some, sad as it is, they can't even afford the surgery.
money.
Yep.
Alright.
Well, first of all, let me apologize to the person calling for Reach for Recovery. My explaining the difference between Essence and Reach was not meant to pull down Reach. It's just showing the difference that when you go to a support group, that is where the support lies, not in the context that they do not do fundraising. Because after all, we're all after the same goal, saving lives, helping others, and making sure that people are comfortable when they're diagnosed. Because when you're diagnosed with cancer, it's a very scary thing. And you want to get all the support that you can have around you. So what you may not get at Essence, you can get in Reach for Recovery. So there was no harm done, and we're not set out to say any harm, so let me let that be made more clear. Now, as a breast cancer survivor, let me tell you, you have to have positive thoughts around you. I mean, I often say to people, when I think of myself, I don't think of myself as a breast cancer survivor, because I often say to them, sometimes I forget I'm a breast cancer survivor until I take my clothes off, one boot fall off, and I say, oh Lord, where's the other one? And I make a joke out of my whole life of the situation. And so therefore, my aim is to help somebody. If you're diagnosed and you want somebody to talk to, I don't know it all. I just want to reach out to make sure that you have a shoulder to lean on, because you do need people to talk to. You need somebody to help you stay positive. And so therefore, my encouragement is to you, early detection. You feel something in your body that you're worried about, find a doctor. Again, I'm going to say, not all the time it means that you have a cancer, but for peace of mind, for a long life, to see your great grandchildren, find a doctor. Early detection is very important.